Hello everyone, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Welcome back to my channel. I am here for my February currently inked, and I will be doing all of my swatching in my Hobonichi A5 notebook. I've already prepped it with my stamps. These are from Everyday Explorers Co. from their currently inked collection. I then also prepped with the little nib and the ink bottle. That is from Amazon, this Cow Kodomo set. I've included that in the description below, as well as a link to the Everyday Explorers Co. set. Then I've decorated it already with my February month sticker and my currently ink sticker. And as you can see, I have 12 pens here. I just wanted to ink up that many because I could, and I was so excited to use all of these. Now, as you see here, there's some smudging with the stamp, and that is because I think I used VersaFine, which is the pigment ink, instead of VersaMagic chalk ink. This one is definitely better. It dries faster, but also doesn't have as much shadow or bleed through onto my river paper as this one does. So I'll know that for next time. I will use this. All right, so what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be doing an ink swatch, then I'll be writing the name of the pen and the ink color, and then I'll show you all when it's done. Let's get started. The first pen and ink combination is going to be Diamine Cashmere Rose, and I have it inked in my Leonardo Momento Zero Winter Sunrise. I'm so excited to finally be inking this up. I will end up using this pen in my A6 5-year journal. So excited. So I'll do a quick swatch in here. And I want to make sure that I have enough ink on this Speedball B nib. That seems like plenty. What I'm trying to do with all of my inks is to go through what I have and use up the samples. I mean, this sample doesn't really have a lot in here, and I'll be using it for the paper swatches, but also for, you know, Zentangles and some fun, I guess, pen art here. So we have my Leonardo. Oh, that nib is smooth. Momento Zero in Winter Sunrise, and this has an extra fine nib, of course, and this is Diamine Cashmere Rose. I know I have teeny tiny writing, so this is why I'm zoomed in as far as I am. Oh, again, beautifully smooth. So excited to use that combo. I mean, look at it matching already. Ah, perfect. So that is my Leonardo Momento Zero Winter Sunrise with Diamine Cashmere Rose. Next, we have my Esterbrook SD in Petrified Forest, and I have in here the mix that I created with Monarca Cardona, Monarca Tierra Colorada, and Ferris Wheel Press Steeped Umber. There's not a lot in here, so as I drop it, oh my gosh. So I'm being very sparing about what I can use because I have to, oh, sorry about that. I have to swatch it in here, but I also have to swatch it in the different paper samples when I do the Zentangles. Gosh, what a fun color. And I was gonna try and put it in a different pen, but I realized, you know what, I'm gonna use my SD. I love my Esterbrook SDs. So this is my Esterbrook SD in Petrified Forest. And this has an extra fine nib with my mix of Monarca Cardona, Tierra, I think I spelled that wrong, Colorado, and Ferris Wheel Press Steeped Umber. The only reason that I mixed them is because there was so little left of each of those inks. I decided, yeah, I need to just mix them together. And somebody asked me in my previous video for tips for using oh, see, the spray isn't working in there anymore. Tips for using shimmer inks in fine or extra fine nibs. I don't really have any tips. I just try it out because all I have are fine and extra fine nibs, and it's more of a matter of trial and error. Some shimmers will work, others won't, and that's okay. But I really have no, major life-changing tips for them. It's try it, and if it works, great. If not, then you know what will work and what won't. All right, so that is my Esterbrook SD Petrified Forest with my Monarcha Ferris Wheel Press mix. The next pen and ink combination is my Delta Spaccanapoli Sericasano, say that a few times fast, with Diamine Sepia. And this was, well, this is, I guess, my second version of this pen, because the first version that I had, there was a crack in the threads of the grip section. So I ended up returning it to Atlas, and I'm sure it wouldn't have wrecked the writing experience, but I just didn't want to risk it. And Atlas were so good about refunding me and taking that back. And then, because they didn't see anything wrong with the pen, they were able to actually sell it off in their experienced pen sale. So somebody is still benefiting from the pen. It hasn't gone to waste. So this is my Delta Spaccanapoli Sericasano, and this has a fine nib, and this is Diamine Sepia. I feel like I'm writing smaller in the Hobonichi than I did when I was in my Galen leather notebook, but I think it's because it's the size of the grid in here, and I adapt my writing size to the grid size. So that is Delta Spaccanapoli Sericasano with Diamine Sepia. The next pen and ink combination is a new one from Mayfair Pens and Stationery Universe. This is the Star of Wearingeul pen. I have filmed the unboxing and review of this, and I'll be posting that next week. And I have it inked with my Monarcha Ray Jaguar. And I have very little of this left. I'm kind of sad because I really liked this particular ink. Where's my Speedball? And if I didn't mention it before, I will be swatching with my Speedball B nib. I love this ink because it definitely has a lot of shimmer, but it's not such a in-your-face bright yellow, but it's still very legible. Let's be careful with that. I love these little glass vials. Aren't they cute? Super cute. So we have Mayfair Pens Stationery Universe, and this is the Noldor Star of Wearingeul, and this has an extra fine nib. And look at that nib. That one has been laser engraved by Kirk Spear of Pen Realm. And the ink in here is Monarcha Ray Jaguar. Now, when I did ink that up, I realized the ink is a lot yellower than this section. This section is a little bit more orange in tone, but I will still go with it. So that is my Mayfair Pens Stationery Universe Star of Wearingeul with Monarcha Ray Jaguar. The next pen and ink combination is my Just Turnings in the Aussie Abalone. This has a 14 karat gold cypress nib in, is this a fine? I believe it's a fine. And I have it inked with Sailor Ink Studio 280. And this was a very recent ink acquisition. This was also an ink that I don't remember if I've ever tried this as a sample. I don't think I have. Look at that. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And then I'm always going to close up the bottle here because the last thing I want is this ink spilling everywhere. Do you guys remember when I spilled half a bottle of Pilot Iroshizuku Ryoku? Yeah, that was everywhere. So this is my Just Turnings in Aussie abalone, and it has the 14K fine cypress nib, and it is Sailor Ink Studio 280. I was originally going to put this ink in a different pen and then changed my mind last minute, and actually can see that this one matches quite well. The yellower toned and gold toned areas match with that yellower gold tone in the ink. So that is my Just Turnings Aussie Abalone with Sailor Ink Studio 280. The next pen and ink combination is my Zodiac Pen Co. Cancer model in the 3 Olives Martini, and I have this inked with Dominant Industry Autumn Forest. No, it's not autumn, but I wanted to use this ink anyway. I'm not the type of person who limits myself to seasonal inks. If I want to use it, I will use it. And I thought that the greens in this matched perfectly. The greens and pinks in here matched perfectly with the resin of the pen. Plus, I hadn't used this ink in autumn, so why not use it now? And I think it's autumn in the southern hemisphere, so any excuse to use this ink essentially. Perfect. And then my Zodiac Pen Co. has, I have this Ground by Kirkspire. This is an extra fine cursive smooth italic. So this is my Zodiac Pen Co. in the Cancer model in the 3 Olives Martini. And this is an extra fine cursive smooth italic. With most people with their writing, you wouldn't notice much of a line variation, but I have small enough writing that it's definitely noticeable to me. Dominant Industry Autumn Forest. Oh, love it. So cursive smooth italic, if you're not familiar, is the downstrokes are broad and the side strokes, or the horizontal strokes, are very, very fine. And I love that. And it's smooth each way. Beautiful. So that is my Zodiac Pen Co. 3 Olives Martini with Dominant Industry Autumn Forest. The next pen and ink combination is my Bennu Talisman in Edelweiss, and it is inked with Diamine Celadon Cat. And I haven't used this ink in a while, but like I said, my theme this year is to use what I have. I'm also trying to keep track of my no stationery spend days. I'm not on an imposed no buy or anything like that. I'm just trying to decrease the amount that I'm spending and trying to use what I have. Okay. So then we have here my Bennu. I think that matches perfectly. Talisman in Edelweiss. And this has a fine Schmidt nib, and it is inked with Diamine Celadon Cat. Oh, lovely. Great flow so far, although I think I can probably work on the nib a little bit. I feel like there's something in between the times of that. So what I need to do really is take brush shims and put them through, and that should clear that up. So that is my Bennu Talisman with Diamine Celadon Cat. The next pen and ink combination is my Esterbrook SD in Blue Moon, and this is inked with Enderilium, Banded King, Shoemaker, Butterfly Blue. That is a mouthful for me to say. I'm not normally a blue ink person, but I know I should have at least one or two in my collection, and I really like this one. And I think it matches really well with the Esterbrook SD in Blue Moon. And I don't know if anyone has seen on Esterbrook's Instagram, but they are re-releasing Blue Moon as a regular SD, but also as a button filler. So yay for anyone who has been asking about this pen. So this is my Esterbrook SD, and I'm going to turn this around because it's got a reverse architect Blue Moon. So it's an extra fine with a reverse architect, and I love it. So this is Enderilium. Somebody asked me once, like, why would you need a reverse architect? And honestly, you don't need a reverse architect, but it's just fun to have two different nib experiences in the same pen. Because when I'm making work notes, I use the reverse architect side for headings, and then the extra fine side for just regular notes. So that's the reverse architect side, and it's so smooth. Gina Salarino did a fantastic job on this, and I will definitely, next time I see Gina, be asking them to do more nib grinds for me. Perfect. So that is my Esterbrook SD Blue Moon with Enderilium, Banded King, Shoemaker, Butterfly Blue. The next pen and ink combination is my Esterbrook Model J in Violet, and I have this inked with Wearingeul Persephone. When was the last time I used this? I think I used this back in June with my Franklin Christoph, and I loved it. Loved the combination, and I haven't used it since, and I'm like, why? It's a great ink. Need to use it more. And look at that. I can tell that the stamping that I did and the smudging is affecting the way that those swatches are going down. So that's driving me a little crazy, but that's okay. So the Esterbrook Model J, I really like this pen. This has a fine cursive smooth italic on it. Esterbrook Model J in lilac. No, violet. Let's just do that. Violet. And this has a fine cursive smooth italic. And this is Wearingeul Persephone. I love the purple tone of this ink. Okay, the stamping is really driving me nuts, the smudging. And then the pink shimmer in here is lovely. Beautiful. So that is my Esterbrook Model J Violet with Wearingeul Persephone. Next we have a pen that I love, and I'm gonna try it with an ink that I have mixed feelings about, but I need to give it a second chance. The pen that I'm going to be using is my Franklin Christoph in the Model 31 in, what is this, Ascension Wing, and I'm going to use the Robert Oster Sidewalk Gum. This was an ink that I got at the San Francisco Pen Show, tried it in a pen, and was very disappointed by its overall performance, but I thought that was in an extra, no, that was even in a fine nib, but I need to try it again and see if this ink can redeem itself. I don't have high hopes for it, but we'll see. Maybe it's just going to be one of those shimmer inks that won't work for any of my pens, which is unfortunate because it's beautiful. And I think it matches with this Franklin Christoph exactly here. So we have the Franklin Christoph model 31 in Ascension Wing. So far so good, but yeah. And this has a fine nib. Oh, I can see it already. And it's got Robert. See, it's already, yeah. What I've been doing is just pushing the nib down. Robert Oster and Atlas stationers. This is side walk gum. Yeah, my previous experience with this is that I had to use the brass shim quite a bit to get the ink flowing, and maybe it's because I might have too much shimmer in here, but we'll see. It's such a pretty ink, and I'm really disappointed that it hasn't lived up to the expectations that I had for it, but we'll see. Give it another try. So that is my Franklin Christoph with Robert Oster and Atlas Stationers Sidewalk Gum. The next pen and ink combination is my Radius Settimo Marmo Bianco, and I'm putting an ink in it that I had tried a couple months ago, and it was a bit of a disappointment in that pen, but I'm hoping that it can redeem itself in this pen. It's the Dominant Industry Dutch Moorland. I had used this originally in my Platinum Preppy, and it was just so inconsistent with the shimmer. I'm hoping that in a fine Jowo nib, it'll perform a little bit better, but we will see. Oop. Like, I love the base color of this. I love the shimmer in it. Yeah. And I have to say, I love my shimmers. Don't get me wrong. I love my shimmer inks. I love, you know, being able to use them. And I'm never going to be the type to say don't use shimmer inks, because why shouldn't you? I know some people get scared of ruining their pens, but as long as you're cleaning them out properly, you shouldn't have too much of an issue. Marmo Bianco. And this has a fine nib. And the ink is Dominant Industry Dutch Moorlands. So far, just in like the few lines that I've written, it's already performing better than it did in my Platinum Preppy. Oh, I love this pen. It's a wonderful, like, neutral looking pen, but it just suits my whole overall collection and style. So that is my Radius Settimo Marmo Bianco with Dominant Industry Dutch Moorlands. The last pen and ink combination I have here is Wearingeul, the Nightingale, and the Rose, and I have it inked in my Silver Burl Silver Series. This is the Strata Quartz material, and I thought, why not? It's a beautiful pen, and I was really wanting to use this ink. I think it's more of a brown with a like red orangey shimmer that makes it stand out a little bit. And let's close my bottle before I have any accidents, because I mean, it's me. So then we have Silver Burl. Oh, beautiful. Silver Burl, my Strata Quartz. And this has an extra fine nib. See, I can use shimmer in my extra fine nibs. So we have Wearingeul, the Nightingale, and the Rose. So far, love this. No issues with the pen and ink so far. Oh, beautiful. So that is my Silver Burl Strata Quartz with Wearingeul, the Nightingale, and the Rose. So there are all of my pens and inks for the month of February. And yes, I do have a bit of a rainbow theme going, but I normally do. I like to have at least one of each pen and, or at least one of each ink color, so that I have things that I can always refer to. And I'm finding though that there are some similarities between a few of these. Like when you just look at the swatch, Wearingeul Persephone looks very similar to Robert Oster's Sidewalk Gum, but I mean this one, the shimmer is definitely a lot more consistent. Let's see what else looks very similar. These two look a little bit similar. So Sailor Ink Studio 280 looks a little similar to Diamine Industry Autumn Forest, but not too much. Otherwise, I think my selections are pretty good for this month. What do you all have inked for the month of February? Goodness me. Please let me know down in the comments below. All right, but that is it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching and have yourselves a great day.